Lions at 12-2, the Eagles 12-2, the Vikings 12-2. Peter, do you still consider the Lions the lead dogs in the NFC?
I do.
Yeah?
I do.
Good for you.
I do. I know we want to project and expect teams to fall apart due to injury, and I understand David Montgomery is big. But we all got off the bus with the Lions when Aiden Hutchinson went down, so they have to do these drastic things on defense, and they have been a steamroller ever since. I think this team in Detroit has what it takes to overcome individual injuries. The question is this cascade of them, 14 guys on the defense, and Alan McNeil, who's such a star player, is that too much? The team that really, really has surprised me, though, is that Minnesota Vikings squad that we saw last night, because they're doing it so under the radar. They're 12-2. Their only losses came to, obviously, the Lions in a heartbreaking fashion at the end, and then, of course, on a short week to the Rams. The Vikings are 12-2 with no fanfare, no discussion of real, this team can actually do something. If anything, we're talking about the Vikings like, well, let's just wait until we see what happens with these last 3 games. But what if they win these last 3 games? If they win these last 3 games, the Vikings are actually hosting every game in the NFC playoffs and will have a bye. Mm-hmm. And if I'm looking at the Packers, they've got 2 more losses. And if I'm looking at the Lions, they are all banged up, and they might be looking to rest players, or they might not be good enough with all those injuries. Those are not games that I look at as instant losses for the Vikings. So I'm going to say 3 things here as I have the entire amount. The Packers are my Super Bowl pick, so I'm not giving up on them at all, and they look really good. The Lions are the number 1 seed, and I'm not giving up on them until they start losing because of these injuries. And the Vikings are that team that I'm watching with side eye. I don't really know, but I'm beginning to believe, even if they are 12-2, and I should have been believers months ago.
Peter, this one is very difficult, and I can see why you're kind of in this position as well. I'm not giving up on the Detroit Lions. They were my pick to go all the way to the Super Bowl, but the question is, are the Lions, are they the pride of the NFC? I don't think they are the pride of the NFC because I think the injury is just way too much to overcome. That's a lot of injuries. I saw it in the Bills game, and I saw it where you saw Ty Johnson being able to get out there, mismatch with a linebacker who just got there, and all of a sudden they're running routes on there. It's going to be very easy for any offense to go out there and go, okay, hold on, we've got new personnel on here. Let's try this wrinkle, and let's try that wrinkle, and then be able to create real big plays. And that's what we saw in this game against the Buffalo Bills. I think, to me, the top team and the pride of the NFC right now is the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles, they look balanced. They look strong. They got that strong defense. That's the number 1 defense in the NFL, and they can straight out play. And I think what they showed, too, in response to the fact that A.J. Brown was calling for accountability, that's what I'm going to call it, accountability, they go out there and they show a well-balanced offense passing attack. A.J. getting off, Devontae Smith getting off. I got the Philadelphia Eagles as the strong team and the pride of the NFC right now.
I love the Lions. I love them a lot, but I have to say that I do not believe that they are the top dogs. That doesn't mean that I don't believe that they're capable. I just think that the injury bug has hit these guys in the mouth too many times. Take a look at this right here. These guys have 22 players on IR. These are the starters. These are the starters that are on there, okay? Look at me names we have there. Aiden Hutchinson, okay? You got Pecco on there. You got Davenport. You got Anzalone. You have all these playmakers for these guys that are now missing. And coaching is a great thing to have, but there's only so much that a coaching can make up for. When you start looking at so many guys that you are dependent on to make plays for you and they're now gone, now you start talking about the offense. David Montgomery's gone. So now that 1-2 punch is no longer there. Gibbs is fully capable as a starting running back, but is it going to be as impactful without him being present? You start talking about all the defensive players that they're missing. Doggone it. I'm not sure how much Aaron Glenn can coach in terms of exposing these guys to potential big plays, because now you're trying to elicit some type of pressure by blitzing. I like the Philadelphia Eagles because of the fact that they are balanced. I like the Philadelphia Eagles because of the fact that they are healthier. The Detroit Lions are going to be competitive, and they're going to fight, and they're going to bite your kneecaps. But enough is enough, and I'm not sure that they're going to be able to hold that top spot, especially with their remaining schedule.
Head and heart for me. Heart says I love the Lions and Campbell, and I love Goff and what they represent. I mean, the head is like, these are really two other good teams in the NFC. They're fantastic teams, and we're not even counting all the NFC teams that can make some noise, like the Bucs, and just I can go on and on. They gave up 79 points the last 2 games. Like that's not how you win a Super Bowl. And I understand, and I like Detroit, and they're proud, and they're going to get up, and they're going to fight. And I was one of those people saying, like, I don't know, Aiden Hutchinson, I think, is the second most important player on their team after Goff. They may be screwed. But they bring in Zadarius Smith. I think that helps a little bit. The Montgomery thing is massive. That's the 4th and inches guy you give the ball to. I like Jahmyr Gibbs. It's Sonic and Knuckles. Like, that was their thing. There was their identity. It was, he did this and you did this. That's totally gone. The defense, it's rough. How can I sit here after what I just saw against the Bills, what I just saw against Green Bay even, and say, yes, the Super Bowl? It's very difficult, especially since it's a question of expectations. Lions get to the divisional round. They get to the title game this year, and losing the title game, it's a huge disappointment. Huge. That's the burden that they carry. But I have to say with Peter, I don't know. Have you ever heard of a sneaky 12-2 team?
Right? Talk about the Vikings.
The Vikings. It's an unbelievable thing. I don't talk a lot of like F1 here, but I feel like the Vikings are in something called a slipstream, where you just ride behind the other car and the wind doesn't resist you as much and you're going faster because you don't have to do as much work. They're in the Lions slipstream and have been for the whole season. All the oxygen gets sucked out by the Lions, even the Packers. Then you're like, the Vikings, Sam Darnold. Look it up. Like, in the important stuff, the QB rating, touchdowns, he's all top 5 quarterback. He's a top 5 guy this year. So the Vikings, by far, it's just merely that they have an identity of a 12-2 sneaky team, I think are the most fascinating team, the most dangerous team. At some point, when would we give up on the Lions? If Goff were to get injured, God forbid, how many injuries can they possibly take? And we still say, yeah, they'll be in the Super Bowl. I have to be honest.
I think I could be concise with the Vikings thing. I think this Minnesota Vikings team is paying for the sins of the 2022 Vikings team that went awesome, won the division, home play, and then Daniel Jones came in.
They were 11-1, and everyone said margin of victory, margin of victory.
They win by all these small margins, just like this team does.
Yeah,
and then, hey, guess what? Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley came in, and they beat him in a playoff game. And it's like, don't fool me again. It's a totally different team with a totally different quarterback and a lot of different players all over the roster. But I think people are a little cautious of being like, all right, the Vikings, based on what they did 2 years ago and flopped in the playoffs.
Hey, Kyle, what you were referencing there, was that a Talladega Nights reference there? A little slingshot engaged?
Yeah, probably. Sean O'Hara texted me before the show, and I should do that. But that's how it works. You hide behind the faster, more high-profile car, and then bam, out of nowhere. That would be, we look at our calendar in a few weeks in the standings, and the Vikings are the 1 seed, and we haven't hyped them for 4 months because it's been all about Dan Campbell and the Lions.
Listen, there are demons in the past, too, when you look at the other top teams in the NFC. No Vikings fan wants this team to go to Philadelphia and have to play a road playoff game against the Eagles. The Eagles are really good. They have nightmares from what happens in the postseason, in playoffs, on the way to a Super Bowl. Ford Field has nightmare potential, and that's coming down the pipe in just a couple of weeks. To Kyle's point, if you can jump from 5-1, rest your guys for an entire week. That first round bye and to have home field advantage the rest of the stretch is a ridiculous thing. I ask you this about how the Vikings, Peter, their makeup is and the coaching. If you had to pick one right now, would you go an executive of the year to Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and the team that he's built and the guys that he let walk out the building and the guys he brought in, or is it coach of the year with Kevin O'Connell? Like, is it the makeup? Is it a nature or is it nurture? Is it the makeup of the team or how they're executing the game?
Or is it Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell? It's both sides. I mean, you've got great roster management decisions on all these teams. Kwesi, what they did last night, their game balls were given out. Blake Cashman got one, Jonathan Grenard got one, Aaron Jones got one. All 3 of those guys are players they signed in free agency this year. And Sam Darnold is too. Incredible roster management, and O'Connell's the perfect coach. This Vikings team, I know it seems like we're hyping them up a lot today because they were on national TV last night. We're going to see a lot of them the next 3 weeks, and we'll see where they're at.